Hello and welcome to another editing session with me, Vagrant Media UK. Today we're going to be editing this picture that I've literally captured this morning. Today is 23rd of November and we'll get some details about the picture there and thought processes. So I wanted to attempt some light painting to get the... I need to turn this music. There. So I wanted to test out the light painting with the light wand that I got recently with sunrise and my PC in shot as well. So we set a self timer for 20 seconds, which gave me 20 seconds to bolt it down there, and started here where the little mouse is, and went round there and there, and then back down there like that. But because I had to do it backwards, my brain got all confused. Because I didn't realise that you can actually just turn around and look the other way. I realised that as I was walking home. So here is the image straight from camera. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a virtual copy of this. So I'm going to export the raw image, as I like to post the raw image, the naturally edited image, and then an edit with a bit more character in it. So first things first is we're going to sort the exposure on this, and I'm going to bring this back up again, and I want to get it to the point where the highlights aren't blown out in the first instance. We'll bring it up, yeah, and I'm going to go to autopilot just a minute here while I just do my settings. So speak out loud as I go. I always add a bit of contrast. First thing I do is I drop the highlights instantly to see where the colour is, and then bring it up to a place where it starts to look natural again. You can see the light paint down here, and it doesn't look very genuine. You can tell it, well, it's been manipulated, but we'll come back to that. So we bring it back up again until it looks like light. There's a pretty good place to go. And then we bring the shadows all the way up, and then work our way back down to a point where it feels natural to the eye, where maybe around there. And then the whites, I tend to come down first again. I drop them all the way to the bottom, see where the colour is in the sky. That blue on the left hand side is looking splendid, so we'll put a bit of a focus on there as it transitions over to the purple on the right hand side over the town. I'm going to bring this back up again, as I'm going to be using a bit of dehaze, which does push the blacks down somewhat, and the lights get punished as a result. So I'm going to hold Alt and see where the first point of white hits there. You can see the Spotify adverts in the background ruining my video, so I'm just going to talk over them because nobody wants to hear the Spotify adverts in the background at all. Nobody wants to hear Spotify. Okay, back to it. We've got our whites in a good place. Now what I tend to do with the blacks is I bring them up to the extreme first, because when there's a bit of colour in the sky I like to apply dehaze. It's an effective tool for bringing out colour in your sky. I tend to push the blacks a bit too far in the first instance. We set them, we get away with them even all the way up, and LCD's clicking in, so I'm just going to get the spot removal tool and sort these couple of niggles. Right. Yeah, okay, that's nice. Now this is the slider that most typically I overuse by my own admission, because just if I push it to the limit, I need to amend the whites in the sky and the highlights a bit, but it just looks crisp like it. But I'm not going to go so intense with it today. I'm just going to bring a little bit of detail out, just like that. There, right. Well, that's my basic exposure done, as the eye would see it in camera. But what I'm now going to do is lens correction, because I've used the Tamron 10 to 24 lens, and it warps your image slightly, so I'll just get that amended. And now I'm going to move on to my dehaze, and the dehaze is, well, you'll see. How to apply this. It brings the colour in with more punch. And it's getting to a point now where it's looking non-genuine. We'll take it back a bit. Yeah. And then I really know where to go with this. Like, as far as the natural edit goes, I don't really feel like it needs much more. Do though is just put a graduated filter that's geometrically in line with the wall. So I'll put that along the line of the wall there. I'll pull it downwards, but it's still the same length, but it's not covering as much of the image, and just do that so it pleases my LCD. Pull that back down again there, you see? Just to then bring a bit of life back. Now what I'm noticing is not feeling as natural, and we don't need to bring the left side of the brightness out as much. So I'm going to adjust the angle, follow a different line of the wall there, and here's where I'm going to add too much clarity to bring out a bit more texture in the foreground at the bottom down here. It doesn't look alien as such, but it just brings a bit more out here. I'm also going to pop the shadows out there, a bit more life, and I'll add this up here now and see how it affects the rest of the image. I'm noticing there that there's a bit of noise starting to appear. But as soon as I start exposing any more of the image further, I'm going to get some noise reduction problems. I'm just going to preempt that. Roll all the way down to noise reduction. And if I'm completely honest, I'm not spent enough time actually testing this to see how it affects things. But I just tend to always make sure that my luminance is higher than my detail. And you can kind of move it as and where you want from there. And I just add tiny bit of contrast. And that's all I really do as far as noise reduction goes. Just smooths out everything a little bit, makes it look a bit crisper. And that is that. So now that I've done this, I'm noticing that the line of the wall not looking, although it isn't natural, it's looking. Drop the exposure down quite a lot here. Down a little bit more, but bring the whites up. Pop some contrast down there, so natural. I'm going to bring my clarity back down, so I don't think that's necessary at the lower exposure. And then that should allow us to bring a bit of the NPC in. Good attention as well. Yep. And it's kind of putting a bit of a spotlight on NPC there, drawing the attention to it. Part of me wants to start cropping. Feel like there's quite a lot of dead space up here. So going to crop, start looking at a crop and pull that in. Yeah. Now I want everything on lines. So the center point of the NPC is on the center point here. The center point of a castle is in the center point here, with the main focus of the image being in the middle. The foreground in the bottom third. The sky in the top third. Content. Middle. That's that. I'm disappointed with the colours of the pads on my NPC. I need to work on that for next time. I need to get my colours on my NPC to match the colours that I use with my light wand. So that is as far as the natural edit would go. So I'm just going to quickly export that. NPC natural. 2. Go in the light painting folder. While I'm at. But now this is where the fun starts. This is where I start to enjoy. Well, not that I don't enjoy the natural bit, but now we start to add a bit of vagrant touch to it. So I like a bit of golden glow as opposed to blue. By bringing blue tone just over slightly. And then I do like purple more than I like green. I don't like green at all. So I'm just going to pop this ever so slightly just to add a bit of contrast between the purple and the blue sky. Okay, and then now I will just go silent while I try and get into a flow state and just try and edit the picture. Can't really explain what goes on in my mind as I do this, but if you can follow the mouse at least, you'll be able to see what part of the image I am editing. So, that's going on. Readjusting my exposure here. Absolutely adore pink. Pink to purple. Shouldn't have got usually where I find myself. I'm just adding in some gradient filters now and split tone in the image across just my colour palette, my typical colour palette of yeah. Oh, I'm gonna come in bottom left now with another one. This is only going to be a thin strip of what I imagine to be we'll see. Oops. Yeah, I think a little bit of a orange tint. Get that sun glow there. That's also the horizon. Bit of orange there. Got some clarity on there. I'll add some around there. Well, some of the colour out. Okay, we throw it back in. Going up. Okay. So for this one with the colour edit, I really feel like this dead space doesn't need enough going on. Get up a bit. Bright colours. It looks too moody. I'm gonna bring my exposure down and try and get a bit more colour over here. Tilt this a bit. Oh. I'm gonna dip this down a bit further and I'm gonna try some blue. Go for my sea blue. There we go. Now you're talking. Don't want it too saturated because the sky's nice enough as it is. We just dip it out and make sure it's matching. Very natural. Can now give that a bit more of the sky.
Alexa, start my day.
And
Check out the all-new Amazon Echo.
go for that. Odd. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, kind of happy with the colours. I don't want to push the saturation too much. dislike. That one has. Give that bit. It's difficult to get colours into the shadows. It's very easy to bring colour into the whites, but finding a natural way for the shadows to transition has always been I'm just going to leave it somewhere. And saturation there. Trigger me that that transition there isn't very natural over the sea. Got blue one. Too far into the sea. Shrink it down a bit. There we go. I don't want to lose the natural orange in the sky because it's beautiful. I'm going to see if I can just creep that through with a bit of colour left out. Blacks up in this quite a bit. Yeah. Not natural. Not yet. So now I'm going to grab a radial filter and I'm going to drag it the width of the main subject of the picture, which is the NPC and the light painting. Just get that best I can all in circle without affecting the surroundings too much. All I want to do is just bring some action. Yeah. Now I've got that. See, that looks hideous because you invert always. What I'm gonna do here is invert the mask. Yeah, it's not very natural looking at the moment. You do want to bring attention. With the exposure, that gives me the indicator of where my radial filter's placed. I do that with all my presets for radial filters and gradient filters. It's a quick tip, just adjust the exposure to +2, +3, and then you can immediately see where you're going to be affecting on the image or the inversion of it. Work that way. And I'm just going to try and bring a bit of attention to this without making it look unnatural. I'm going to try and just bring brightness out with natural exposure amendment. So bringing up shadows should help a lot more. Highlights are going to affect the light a lot. Need to be very careful that don't overdo it. If I go too high, it is just not very nice on the eyes. If you go too low, it just looks fraudulent. So yeah, nice balance. Put some clarity in there. Bring the detail and attention in. I'm just going to tilt this a little bit there. don't want to get the headline things in. Can help. Gonna leave that there. And now I'm just gonna do a little bit of final tweaking, bring out got there. Couple of the gram. Blacks aren't indicating on there, but I do know probably down to this bottom right area here. I'm starting to notice now that the highlights in the light paint are not looking very genuine. Slightly. And I'm gonna find to just a bit of that dehaze back. On black. Now, all I'm gonna do is hold the shift key, the gradient filter down to the horizon. Bring a bit more in there. Bit. Those pinks in that. Pop a little bit. Back from back. Clarity. And I'm completely honest, I absolutely adore this pen. Do it. And far off. A lot of colour in the sky. I really like it. It does feel a little bit dark. That. Push it outwards. That pink in. That is almost really triggering me. Side of it deserves more. Just gonna go on and sling some orange on them. Gonna make sure I keep the sky untouched. Gonna bring image. Yeah. Then is clipping. Is as far as editing the image goes, would be where I would leave it. Still need to put it into a final edit. I do it on my phone, but that is how I edit from raw to a natural image and then to a vagrant edit. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed or learnt something or a combination of the two. And if you enjoy this kind of thing, if you enjoy someone smashing the pads on an NPC at 7 AM in the morning, check out the other videos. I usually pop the thing down, do some photography, and then turn it on, have a little jam, and then upload the video to YouTube after I've given it a test run. You like any of the content? Can give me a follow on any of the socials there. Do light painting and long exposure photography, as well as music production through hip hop and lo-fi to progressive house, drum and bass, and UK rap, grime, whatever you want to call that genre, at 140 BPM. And so yeah, thanks very much for taking the time out of your day to watch this, and hopefully you can take a moment, hit subscribe, as every single YouTuber asks you to do, and then maybe even hit that bell. You can touch my bell and I won't tell anyone, and I won't even know it was you. But you will get notifications each time I upload a video to YouTube. And you can also activate notifications on all my other socials. I'm active pretty much all the time with one creative outlet or another. Well, thanks again. Until next time.